Well, we're back in the studio this weekend with a little AC to break down these big reports from USDA that came out on Thursday. You have grain stocks, you have acreage. Arlan, a lot of numbers that came at the markets all on Thursday, but what was the biggest story for you?
The biggest story, I think, was the decline in soybean acres, a drop of 2.6 million acres. And basically, I think this kind of confirms what the industry was thinking, that anytime you do a survey, you're going to have a margin for error. If you look at a political poll, it'll say candidate A has 46% support with a plus or minus 3.5%. Well, with the USDA surveying 60,000 farmers, it's not that wide of a range. But the industry was kind of assuming that USDA was on the bottom end of the survey error range on corn and on the upper end on soybeans, and they confirmed that. But soybeans came down even more than expected. That takes off about 150 million bushels worth of production potential going forward, and so therefore it really tightens up the new crop balance sheet a lot more.
Yeah, Dan, any indication of where those acres went? I mean, we did see, a few more wheat acres. We saw an uptick in cotton acres. But when prevent plant and some of that conversation, when will we know if that's possibly where we lost those acres?
Well, we don't get prevent plant data until we get into the August timeframe. So it'll update as we go forward, but we can assume they came from North Dakota. If we look at the changes of where acreage really occurred, big drops in North Dakota across the board. So we assume because of late planting dates, a lot of those acres came from that state. And of course, soybeans being the biggest component of it. So to Arlen's point, I agree. That was the big surprise today. And I think it now sets up the stage for some fireworks should we have any summer weather problems.
Yeah, really, the market focused on weather. But before we get to that, we also had grain stocks. A lot of question on why we're seeing such strong cash grain bids across the country, Arlan. Did the grain stocks report give any answers to that?
That was probably the most neutral grain stocks report I've seen in 4 decades. Really, less than 5 million bushels off from trade expectations across the board. No real surprises there, and really kind of surprising that we could see any type of stocks report come so close to what the trade is expecting. Really keeps the focus on the acreage and the weather, as Dan indicated.
Yeah, Dan, when you look at on-farm storage, that's up quite a bit for corn, up quite a bit for soybeans. Is there any story there that we need to be watching?
Well, I think farmers indicated that they wanted to hold on supply until they knew more about their new crop, trying to maximize the markets, if you will. But as you look around, I mean, because of the logistical snarls, because of the margins that are still there for ethanol and for crush, soybean crush, it leaves me with the idea that the cash markets will stay relatively well supported. And so I think when you look at a July D's corn spread over $1.20, it leaves you scratching your head a little bit. But I think at the end of the day, what the market's suggesting is that as you look at the amount of minimum supply that needs to be in the pipeline, that has now increased and will continue to increase as new soy crush comes online in the year ahead.
Okay, so Arlan, now that we have these acreage numbers, we have grain stocks. Does it change the story any as we head into July when typically can be a big weather market mover?
Weather is the story, and we kind of sold off today because of weakness in the broader markets, end of the month, end of the quarter, and a lot of other factors there at play. But as we get past the 3-day holiday weekend, I think it's very normal for these markets to really set the tone on what the weather models say coming out of the 4th of July holiday weekend. And if they're hot and dry, fireworks, as Dan said, and if they're mild and wet, then we probably are going to have trouble sustaining any type of rally.
All right, we need to take a break, and then we'll have much more about the markets coming up later on U.S. Farm Report.
Registration is open for the 2022 Pro Farmer Crop Tour. Join our team as we gain insight on the 2022 growing season in person or online. Visit profarmercroptour.com/register to select the stop nearest you.